live. Live, baby, live. Good morning to you over here. I guess I could say this is the, let's see, if you're looking at me, it's going this way. So I'd be like, West Coast? Wait. Yeah, West Coast. No. West Coast, East Coast. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay, there we go. Come on in, folks. We're having a hangout. Let's see. I am in my studio here, and again, I have done nothing with the studio yet. I'm working on that. It takes some time. I'm just saying. Kelsey, Mary Quack and Trevor. What up, y'all? Move this over to here. Move this over to here so I can see things. People who are on my Twitch stream, please give me a little chit chat. Say howdy do. I am freezing, so I am going to put I brought a blanket today because I'm a smart man. So I am putting this blanket down here over my legs. So I can talk to you like an old man today. It's gonna be a gold one, boy. Oh. Hey, Chrissy, Yumi, Kelsey, everybody. Good to see ya. Oh, I'm glad you love Rolo. Thank you so much. And if you would be so kind, everybody over here, if you would go over to Twitch and click on there and follow me and chit chat, etc., and so on, so we can get these numbers up and get it going, because it's taken some time. And I have some good news. I did whatever it is I needed to do to drop my first podcast actually online. And that is not, I don't think it's available yet. I think I still have to do something with Apple, but I go through Libsyn, so I did all the stuff for that. So that is super cool. I'm excited. My first ever podcast will be out and live today. So whenever I'm done here, that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go and work on that. Uh-oh. I'm getting no power over here. That's the problem. There's where the problem is. Okay, let me do this. Turn it this way, I think. I have to turn. Move this over a little bit. Okay, I got to push you guys back a little bit. And that's okay. There it is. You're in class. No problem. Take care. See you later. Oh, my goodness. What a morning. It's a beautiful day out here in California, by the way. Sunny and 72 is going to be. You just asked me that and I just told you. Haha, it is not snowing where I am. The thing is, in the mornings, it gets quite chilly. So it's kind of a desert climate. So when everything's not on fire, it can get quite chilly in the evenings in the winter time. Our winters are not bad. I mean, it's, it'll get down to 40 sometimes, maybe. It rarely does it get to freezing. Although the other day when we were jogging, Kim and I went out for a run, and we got halfway out, so we go out to like a mile and a half or so and come back, just do like a 3-mile jog. And when we got out that way and turned back, it started to rain, and then it started to really rain, and then it started to hail and sleet. Otaku girl, what's up? And so it was nasty, ugly. I posted it on my Facebook page, I think. So, of course, it's cold in Ohio. Otaku girl, I know that. Andy Platinum, what's up? And I like Ohio. It's actually, I really liked Columbus, and I was looking at possibly getting some property there, so I may still look at that again. We'll see. Anyway, so today we're going to have a good time. It's kind of, my podcast is, my titles are a little silly. I'm really good with titles. So today is Shut Your Pie Hole. And I'm going to talk about why we all talk too much, number one, which I'm doing on a freaking, podcast, obviously. Different format, though. Thank you. I'm glad you like my mug. This is when I was a coach for the voiceover marketing team, The Wild Ride. Voiceover marketing team. Let's see over here. The Wild Ride. Voiceover marketing team. My friend Tori was running it, and she was amazing. I got frozen. Well, I'm not frozen. I got froze then, man. Woo! We were soaked, head to toe, inside and out, 3 layers. It was ridiculous. It was like, when people do that polar bear challenge where it's like a degree. Let's go jump in the water because we want to die. It was kind of like that. But we were stuck. There was nothing we could do. We stopped, got some coffee, had a little awesome sweet miso pastry, and then I was like, now that I'm full of coffee and a pastry, now I got to run another 1.5 miles. I'm like, damn it. And we did. It was hard. It was, man, it was rough, I got to tell you. I did not enjoy it. Kim was loving it. She's like, I'm running in the rain, I'm running in the rain. I'm like, I'm running in the rain, I'm running in the rain. And it was good. It was good for me. It was good for both of us. Jasm Dessert. What's up? So everybody that's over here on Unlocked, do me a favor, go to Twitch, open up your Twitch, go to Spike Spencer Speaks, and follow me over there, please. I need the numbers. It's a team effort. Oh, and I can tell you guys, so yesterday, I was doing press for my appearance in Australia coming up. So I had 3 interviews in, it was like 3 interviews in 45 minutes. They call you up and they've got it set up and you go, okay, you have 2 minutes left. Ask your last question. Okay, great. And so they're like, we're just chatting, having a good time. And it was interesting. So I was able to tell everybody about the Mind Scrambler podcast. And I was telling me, it's like there's nobody in this space really doing the work that I'm doing with you guys, that I'm doing as a podcast with, self-help, personal growth, success format. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you're telling other people about it, because I'm going to continue to do it on Unlocked as long as my battery holds out. Again, like I said, every Tuesday, Thursday, and I do Sunday night is the food for thought. That's kind of the free-for-all. Let's have fun. Let's cook, because I love to do that. But, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this. I think this is a thing. I believe, because when I travel around and I get, packed rooms talking about dating and relationships, so I know there is a desire out there for some, self-help, some success, some life hacks, etc. And I really appreciate that you guys are here, so thank you so much. And I would really appreciate your help getting the word out there. So if you could, I'm going to task you all today. Please send my Twitch feed link, twitch.tv/Spike Spencer Speaks, to a friend, or post it on your socials. Post it on Facebook, post it on Twitter, post it on Instagram. Do whatever you can to help me get the word out, and let's start building this community. I know there's so much to what I teach. There are people that Kim and I are teaching people making 7 figures. The same principles I'm teaching you guys. So this is not BS. I'm not just some random guy, hey, I've got a microphone, so I'm going to tell everybody what to think, which I am, totally. But I'm certified and licensed to do so, so take that, you. Man. And so we're gonna talk about some fun stuff today. I'm excited that I turned my insomnia into productivity last night. I was up for like an hour and I was like, man, I am just getting out of there. I have to do something. So I got out of bed and I went down and I worked with Libsyn getting my first podcast figured out. That took about an hour to really get through all the stuff, and I'm still a little behind, but that needed to be done. And during the day, it's so much going on with a 2.5-year-old and 3 other businesses trying to figure everything out. It's a little daunting. So we'll see what happens. Consider doing TED Talks. I'd love to do a TED Talk. We actually were in talks with somebody who's putting a TED Talk in Iowa, because I was speaking at the Putnam Museum there a few months back when I appeared. They did an anime thing for the museum. Excuse me. And it was awesome. I fell in love with Davenport, Iowa. Davenport, Bettendorf, and just that whole area of the Quad Cities is really awesome. So I'm looking for property out there, investment stuff. But yeah, I would love to do a TED Talk. The thing is, you have to come up with a very interesting take on something. So if I were to give a talk on something, it's like, well, what would I talk on? Pretty much everybody's talked on everything. So I have to find something that's interesting for me. And so we were going through it. I was like, well, what if I talked about food and the intimate connection in relationships with food? Because that's, I say, when you travel to another country, you get to know and you become a part of that country by eating its food, by spending time, especially breakfasts, with other people, because breakfasts are usually the same thing worldwide. Wherever there's whatever breakfast is, that's usually very similar to the same thing every day, whether it's a big Irish breakfast in Ireland, or whether it's a bowl of pho in Vietnam, or whether it's rice and whatever in other places. It's usually the same thing. Like I could have bacon and eggs every morning. I could, because I freaking love bacon, because I'm a red-blooded American. Okay, they have it in the UK too. But that's interesting. So you do that, and anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent, but this is a food thing. This is why I love food so much. It really interests me. I actually want to do a book on how bacon saved the world, because it was used for bacon fat was used as fuel for munitions and helped win the wars. I'm telling you. Didn't know you had a unique take from TED Talk. Yep. I don't know how they want to present. Yeah, that's it. So you have to have something very unique. And I'm thinking, I've got a lot of interesting things that I do. Like Rob Paulson just did a TED Talk. He fought cancer and won. He was obviously Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and all that. So look up his TED Talk. I need to watch that. I'd love to watch that as I get to know him. Because I don't really know him. We're Facebook friends. That's the cool thing. I'm Facebook friends with all these people. And so I get to see kind of their story, but I haven't really connected with them. So I'm making the effort now for my voiceover career is to build relationships. So I'm utilizing LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. to reach out to people that are in the business and say, hey, I want to build a relationship with you. I want you to trust who I am, because that's how you get business in any business. That's it. It's relationships and getting to know people. That's why you see all the same people working on all the same time, because it's like there's groups that have just gotten together and worked together a long time, so they know how each other works, so they've got a shorthand. So it's like, hey, I'm just going to cast you, and let's go have fun again. Great. And now the next series comes up and it's like, oh, you, and maybe a new guy. Well, I want to be that new guy. There you go. My favorite character that I voice the most. I don't have any favorite characters that I voice the most. My favorite character is Kled, Colonel Kled on League of Legends. Because he talks like this. And I had a really good time doing that. It was a very, very hard voice to do, but I loved it. AX in LA this year, you said they don't offer much. They don't offer anything to VAs. Most VAs avoid AX like poison. They are a terrible, terrible convention. I mean, it's good for you guys, I guess, but it's a terribly run convention. So I just don't even go. And I used to live like literally 1 mile from there. I could see it from my window. And I didn't go. I was like, nope, I'm good, thanks. It's not worth the headache to drive down there 1 mile and park and go. It's just not. They do not make it worthwhile. And they treat you like crap. So there's that. I mean, last year, put it this way, last year they ran a trailer for the new Ava that's coming out. And I tried to reach everybody at AX. Anybody, anywhere, everywhere. I said, hey, I'll come and do a talk on Ava. You're playing the trailer. You're playing the movies. Nobody contacted me whatsoever. I was like, I do it for free. I'll just do it. I'll sell my books. I'll sell my stuff. I'll sell my autographs, et cetera, et cetera. No, nothing. I'm just like, that's just, really? What do you do? Huh. All right, guys, it's time for my podcast. Are y'all ready? If you are ready, let's see. Let me type this in. If you are just joining, I am doing a podcast till 9:45. So I will chat with you then. Word. All right. So here we go. Let me move this around. Turn this off. Now you guys can hear me okay, right? I'm kind of wondering about my sound quality. I was listening to some of it, and I wasn't quite sure if I like it. Tighten that up a little. Okay, you guys here on Unlocked, you may, and I apologize, you may fall over, and if you do, damn thing I can do about it. Put that there. There we go. I think I got it set up. Man, my rig is ghetto right now, baby. Okay. Here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome to my podcast. This is Spike Spencer, and today I'm going to talk about not talking. Yeah, figure that out. All right, we'll work it out. So, what I'm talking about today, the topic is shut your pie hole. What the hell is Spike talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is that we talk way too much. Have you ever heard the old saying, well, God gave you one mouth and 2 ears for a reason? Or have you heard the Mark Twain quote, and I'm not going to get it completely right, but it was something like, better to keep your mouth shut and let them think you're an idiot rather than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. So why am I talking about shutting your pie hole on a podcast? Well, because hopefully you're listening to me. And if you are listening to me, well, then obviously you're here. Awesome. I can do math. So in the world of business, in the world of relationships, in the world of music, it's the spaces in between that matter. And what that means is, in vocal world, it means the silences matter. That's where things happen. In art, artists will tell you that it's not what you put on the painting, it's what you take away that matters. It's the space between the spaces. And that is quite interesting. Because when you're thinking about it, if you're talking to somebody and they're listening, you're talking, and there's a space there, you've got to fill that space. You feel like you have to fill that space. But when you shut up and they're not talking, there's a moment where whatever message you have is sinking in. And if you're just waiting to talk in a networking event, in a fight, in a discussion with somebody you love, most of us are doing exactly that, waiting so that we can speak. We're not absorbing what is coming in. We're not absorbing what they're telling us. We're in our heads, and it's whirling around. You're like, okay, they said this thing, but it went on and on and on, and you heard nothing of the last 5 minutes of what they said because you were thinking about what you were going to say next. So the problem with that is you're missing so much. Something I'll do with my clients, I'll say, we're going to do this today. When you talk to somebody today, you're going to listen twice as much as you talk. So when you are listening to somebody and you're thinking, okay, I've got to say something, you're going to tell yourself, don't. Do not say anything. Why? Because you're allowing for that space. You're allowing for what they're telling you to sink in. Because if you're just waiting to say something, you're not hearing anything. There's no communication actually happening. In business, that's a big, big problem. Because if you're going to be, let's say, a salesperson, and it doesn't matter whether you're in sales or whatever, you're in the influence game if you're in a relationship of any kind. That's why I developed a relationship sales dynamics, because in a relationship, you are trying to sell something. Ever tried to get your child to eat vegetables that they don't like? You are in a sales situation right there. And if you don't like sales, call it influence. You are trying to influence somebody else to do something. If you're in the dating world, you're trying to influence somebody to go out with you. And in order to do that, You have to allow them to sell themselves. So what does that look like? Well, in a business proposition, for example, I did real estate for years. I'm still doing some real estate now. So I would be in negotiations on a property. I call it the 5-step. You make an offer, they counter, you counter, they counter, and then you do your final. That's how it usually went. The one thing in sales is the first person who talks loses. So if I say at the end, I'd say, okay, I will buy this property for $200,000. And then I shut up. And I don't say anything. I wait. They talk. Whenever they talk, then I can talk again. Because what happens is, if I say, here's my ultimatum. But anyway, what I mean is not the ultimatum. I mean, this is my ultimatum. I mean, I'm not really firm on my ultimatum, but it's something about the ultimatum that I really want to blah, 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 blah. You see what happened there? There is a power play, and you take away your power because you feel you have to put something in that void. A confident person doesn't have to. I'll get on that in a second. So if you say, I will give you $200,000 for that, and you just wait, they are going, well, I don't know, maybe I can't take this, blah, 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 blah. But you are in a position of power because you are not doing something. The power of not doing something is immense. And most people don't see it that way because most people think, oh, I've got to say something. I have to fill the void, especially in the dating world. So let me move over to the confidence that I was talking about a second ago. In my book, hey, this one right here, Food Game. A man's ultimate recipe for dating success. Dun, 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 dun. By this guy right here. Some of you guys have already bought this book. You know what I'm talking about. In dating, there's a very interesting thing. You need confidence. That is the number one attractive quality in men. And I wrote that book for men. I'm working on a book for women as well. But this one was designed for men. And one of the most attractive qualities in a man is confidence. Cool, calm confidence. Well, how do you demonstrate cool, calm confidence? You're not going to chat your way into it. I can guarantee you that. I do the example of when a woman says something to you. Let's say you're sitting on the couch, you're having a glass of wine, and she says something. She asks you a question, and you don't want to answer it. And you say, I'm not going to answer that. And take a sip of your wine, and that's it. That's all you say. And it's like, and then you just shut up. And you just let that silence float. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. That's like, oh, damn, what's he doing? And you just shut up. You don't say a damn thing. She'll start talking again. And that moment right there lets her know that you're cool, calm, and confident because, A, you don't have to tell everybody everything. Listen to me. You don't have to tell everybody everything. It's none of their damn business. You have to have some boundaries, which I talked about in one of my earlier podcasts, but you talk about boundaries in silence. Have boundaries where you just go, yeah, this is for me. I'm owning this, so I'm not going to say anything. And then just listen. Allow that silence. Get comfortable in those silences. If you're one of those people who would automatically, when she would say something, that you're like, I don't want to talk about that, or I don't want to say what you. Well, I don't want to. Blah, 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 and then you're going to divert over to something else, and you're like, well, you're going to come across as a jittery, insecure, nervous person, and you don't want to do that. And especially in business, relationship, dating, doesn't matter, life, you want to have that cool, calm confidence. A really good example of that was, if you remember when the towers came down, Rudy Giuliani, I don't care how, your politics or whatever, how you feel about him now, back then, when those towers came down, he was the mayor. And we saw him on TV over and over again. And he was chill. He was stoic. He was amazing. Anyone who watches that and remembers it, they're like going, yeah, that guy. We want that guy. And he screwed the pooch later, but that's fine. But at that moment in time, That was cool, calm, and collected, and that was attractive. That was really amazing. And that's what you want. I say it in the book. I say, when in doubt, chill. When in doubt, chill. So when you're in doubt in a conversation, when you're thinking, maybe I shouldn't say anything, don't. Do not say anything. Just shut up. Be comfortable with the silences, because that is where your power lies. That confidence is one of my favorite poems, and I don't have it in front of me. Well, if I can find it, I'm right here. I'm online. I would love to read you this poem. It's If by Rudyard Kipling. I know. I'm just going to go ahead and... I believe it's If. There it is. Yeah. So real quick, I mean, it's not a long poem, but it's a good one, and it's like 4 stanzas. And I want to read this to you because this is one of my favorite poems in the world, and it talks about this exact thing. This is If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build 'em up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. That is If by Rudyard Kipling. By Rudyard Kipling. I maybe should have done it in this voice. If you can do all these things, you'll be a man, my son. I swear. That is one of the most powerful poems out there, I think, to me, because it says that you keep your head when others about you are losing theirs, and that is exactly what Rudy Giuliani did. He was stoic, silent, calm, cool. And that's the example that I want to give to you, because you need to take that moment when something happens in your life. Most of us will react. We will react. If there's that fight or flight moment, that we'll react to something, blah. But if something happens, you can go inward first and be cool, chill, silent. Shut your pie hole and listen. Then you get a little bit better idea of what is actually going on. Because usually what is quote-unquote going on is not the whole story. This is why I hate news, because it's all sensationalism. This is why I'm going to segue into the socials now, all your social channels. Your social channels are an exact example of people not shutting their pie hole. I'm not just talking about what they say. I'm talking about what they believe, what they throw out there and they share. Well, this happened, blah, blah, blah. And then you find out 2 days later, no, none of that happened. It was actually the exact opposite, but that lie has already made it around the world. It's already done. Everybody believes this lie. And when they get the actual proof, it's like, oh, no, that's not it at all. So everybody yabbered. They didn't take a moment to be silent and shut their pie hole and let things play out. And it happens daily. And I'm a victim of it too. I have seen things online and I'd share them. I'm like, oh my gosh, this happened or that happened. And I'm like, now I pull it back and say, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm only going to share things that are positive, nice quotes, a funny video, things of that nature, something that will help somebody either inspire them or make them laugh. Because if I'm going off and sharing something in my socials that I really did not take the time to shut my pie hole and listen and let it play out a little bit, then I'm always playing catch up. And you are playing catch up because you are always in that place. If you're doing that way, if you're reactionary on your socials, then you're looking like you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I've done it. We've all done it. So on your socials, take a second to shut your pie hole and do a little research. Or if you don't have time to do research, then don't share it. Because when you're sharing it, that is your voice. That is your digital voice, and it is recorded forever. So what is better? That you did not share something that could be incriminating or stupid or angering or not posting at all and letting it all play out. And then if it plays out later on, you go, wow, I am really cool because I was calm, shut my pie hole, and waited to see what played out. And it was exactly the opposite. Another prime example of this is even in the mainstream media, for any newspaper, if you go and you see a headline, and then that's the headline, it's sensationalism, right? And you'll read the actual article and you go, it's actually not this headline. It's something different. And then you find out, so sometimes that happens, and then you find out sometimes later on that it's a complete fallacy. None of it is right. They don't put a headline that says, we screwed up. What we wrote yesterday was wrong. No, they put it on the back page, somewhere on the 7th or 8th page where nobody ever looks, in a little teeny tiny box on the bottom. And you have to hunt that down. Does anybody hunt that down? No, they don't. That was another book I wanted to do. I wanted to look at all the newspapers and see how they were wrong and put that together and go, yep, there you go. Let me hire somebody to do that for me. Say, hunt down all that stuff and then I'll write the book. Awesome. So that's the miscommunication that's happening out there. And I think a lot of that would not happen if we just shut our pie holes and listened. 2 ears, 1 mouth. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen. Listen to what people are saying and find out, figure it out for yourself. Another great thing, when you are listening, you're a more attractive person. People like someone who is listening to them. And if you are actively listening to them, then they know it, they feel it. Prime example of this is Bill Clinton. Again, not about politics. He's highly trained NLP, actually, neuro-linguistic programming. He understands how to use persuasion very well, obviously. And people would say that, wow, he talks to you like you're the only person there. And that's true. People say, wow, he's just so focused on you that it's amazing. And there was another person, I want to say it was, I don't remember who it was, but they said the reason why he was such a good leader is that he made you feel like you were the most important person in the room, not him, who is like the leader of the country. And that is true. That's what listening does, and not speaking. It's very, very powerful. Another thing that I want to say is focus on a little bit on your self-talk. If you feel you have to say something to yourself, be very careful, because what you say to yourself resonates in your subconscious, and it is your self-talk. That is who you are. If you feel like you have to say something that I'm a loser, I'm a failure, I'm a blah, blah, blah. I am are the two most powerful words in the world. God said, I am. And there's something to that. There is something to that. I don't care if you're religious or not, but there is something very, very powerful in I am. When you say, and I went over this on one of my earlier podcasts about self-talk and the belief that you give to yourself. If you are having to fill in spaces, and you're doing it with negative self-talk, that's very dangerous for you. So think about if you have a moment and your brain is going like mine. I'm highly knowledge on the bank personality scale. If you understand what that is, I'll talk about that sometime down the road. But when you're on that means your knowledge. It means you're a lot of self-talk. Also on the neuro-linguistic programming strategy, I am audio digital, which is also self-talk. So my mind is spinning all the freaking time. And a lot of that can be negative because we are hardest on ourselves. We are harder on ourselves than anyone else. And that's something that you need to be aware of, especially if you feel you have to talk and that insecurity comes up and you're like, I want to, dang it, I'm so angry at all this. And you talk about all these reasons why you deserve that, or just things that really beat yourself down. Be careful with that. Let it be silent and just take a deep breath. When you feel that self-talk coming on, just take a deep breath. Take 3 to 5 deep breaths, and it will go away because breath work really does matter, and it really does do things for you. And I want you to also think about your self-talk in your socials when you're typing. Now, I was talking about the socials. They are there forever. So remember, whatever you type can mess you up. You know, we've had a lot of people in the voice industry that have posted something about a job that they did, and they had signed an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement. And so they chatted it up. Hey, I'm on the show and blah, 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 blah. And they got fired. And then they recast and did it with somebody else. For example, I'm under an NDA right now for the Netflix Evangelion thing. So they're like, you really can't talk about it. I'm like, okay. So I don't really talk about it. But, you know, there's certain things I can talk about my opinion all day long. I can't talk about what happened and how they treated us, let's say. Their prerogative, no big deal. Nothing I can do about that. But that's the power of silence. You know, when somebody is in a lawsuit or something, what's the first thing they try to do somebody? Silence them so that they can't say anything. Words can move the world. A podcast can change the world. When I get lots and lots of downloads, let's say I've got 1 million downloads, then wow, how many people am I going to influence and inspire and hopefully, you know, bring some laughter to by saying things like, shut your pie hole, because it's fun. That is my goal, to bring inspiration and laughter to millions. Now that is with my voice. And by telling somebody to shut up is kind of, you know, funny and ironic in this situation. However, it's all in the context. So one other thing is, if you are being triggered by what somebody else says, this is a whole podcast in itself, but I want you to be aware of this. If you're being triggered by something somebody else says, then it is your issues that are causing you to be triggered, not theirs. If somebody's an asshat, let them be an asshat. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. And when somebody says something and just suddenly you're like, then they have taken power over you. So be careful what you say in that reactionary moment. This is why it's best to, when in doubt, chill and ask yourself a question. So this is an example I've used for years. Somebody calls you a name, something that you hate, and you're like, here we go. Let's go. Hey, put them up, boy. It's time for some dukes. And you're ready to fight. And you go, hold on a second. Look at it from an enlightened point of view. Take a moment, chill, be silent, and think. Ask yourself, okay, they just called me a name. Let's say they called you an asshole. All right. Can I be an asshole? Sure. I've been an asshole to many people. No problem. I try to be as nice and wonderful and sparkly as I can, but sometimes I am. So I asked myself in that moment, was I being an asshole? No, I do not believe I was being an asshole. Okay, therefore, what they said is now wrong. It's their opinion, and you can never be triggered by somebody's opinion unless you let them. And if you let them trigger you by your opinion, that's not them, that's all you. You are allowing that because you're in charge of your life, for crying out loud. You're in charge of how you react to things. Silence is the best way to fix that because you listen for a second. You go, okay, wait a minute. Let me ask myself, was I being that way? And if you were, you go, you know what? I was being kind of an asshole. Okay. Hey, I'm sorry. I was being an asshole. Sorry about that. But that silence allows you that contemplation time. That silence, that moment where you're chill, allows you a little extra grace so that you can react differently. If you suddenly react, now you've got to fight. You got to fight back and forth, back and forth. And I'll bet you every single one of you listening to this has had that freaking ridiculous political attack back and forth on Facebook that just drew you out for a day or two, and you're just like so angry, and everybody's angry. It just makes everybody angry. And because nobody gets the point, you put something, and then everybody has to throw in their 2 cents worth. It doesn't even have to be political. You can say, I like blue. Well, I like red. Well, you're a bastard. Ah! Everybody loses their mind. So the power of silence is going to keep you from losing your freaking mind. Trust me on this. I do not do that any longer. I scroll past anything political. I scroll past anything incendiary. It's not going in my head, and it shouldn't go in yours. You're in charge of your life. If you want your life to go better and more relaxed, take a second, chill, look at it and go, that's interesting. That's the way they feel. I wonder how they got to that point. But I don't have time to deal with that because I got shit to do. Scroll and go do stuff. That's the cool power of silence. That moment where you own yourself. You own your shit, man. This is mine. Nobody's going to take that away from me. So somebody, and let me tell you something, guys, if you were in the public eye like I am, I get haters all the time. I get trolls on this thing all the time. I may have one here right now. I don't know. But it happens. And I go, okay, block, delete. It's like that really cool, fun meme. I don't know who it is. There's several of them that are out there, but it's like, walking along and anger comes floating in. He goes, boop, pops anger out of the way. He's like smiling and walking down the road. Sadness comes in and goes, boop. Drama comes in, boop. Just knocking it out of the way. It's just happy, happy, happy. I think that's great. And that's how I try to live my life. Whether things are going great, terrible, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You are in control of your life 100%. That's a whole other podcast again. I've got lots of podcasts. Isn't it cool? There's so much to talk about. I love it. One thing. Now, if somebody does, say bad things or do something bad, I'm not above a nice digital verbal bitch slap. I'm not saying that. See, I'm one of those guys, people are going, let it slide and just give them love, send them love and say, I pray for you, et cetera, et cetera. So I will totally do that right after I say, hey, asshat, you're being a dick. I got no problem with that. Why not? Sometimes somebody needs a little, hey, wake up. You're being an asshole. And it goes on from there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to join that. I just wanted to point out that you are that, and I'm blocking you. I have no problem with that. I'm from Texas. We fight fast. Nobody's going to give me this crap. You've got to push back sometimes. That's the boundaries that I was talking about. You don't have to be terrible about it. You don't have to be crazy angry. You just go, no. That is not acceptable, and I'm going to snap you out of that right now. Now, if you want to hug now, we can hug afterwards. But you got to realize that you're being an asshat. And if you don't realize you're being an asshat, well, that's on you. You know what I mean? So that silence gives you that moment where you don't just automatically react. And that's what I want to leave you with today. I want you to take that moment for silence. Let me go recap real fast. So don't just listen waiting to talk. Listen to be listening. Listen to be interested. Interested people are interesting. Understand that. When in doubt, chill. Things can be going crazy all around you. The first thing you need to do is sit down, look around, say, hey, what's really going on here? You be that calm in the center of the storm. Like Kim, my wife, she says, I'm the center of her hurricane. Because when she's flailing and flailing, I go silent. And I watch. And I say, okay, what's going on? I'm just going to shut up and be cool. And remember, your socials are forever. So anything you're sharing or saying, take that extra second. Quiet down, calm. Do I need to send this? This thing that I'm going to post, is it uplifting? Is it funny? Is it good? Is it kind? Is it something that I'll look back and go, hey, I remember posting that. That's cool. Or will I look back and go, ooh, I was being kind of a dick? If it's the latter, probably don't post it. I've done that a few times. I'm just saying. I know. Don't do that. I try not to do that now because those socials are forever. You can scroll back and see them. And remember that negative self-talk. Steer clear of that. Take a moment. Take a deep breath. If you feel like downplaying yourself or saying bad things to yourself, take a minute and say, no, I'm going to chill. And if you do say anything, say, nope, whatever it was I was going to say does not apply to me. I'm going to be cool. And then finally, just remember, the more you talk, the more insecure you seem. So try not to fill those spaces of silence with mindless yapping. Be cool, be calm, be powerful, calm, and confident. And try this today. Try to listen 2 times more than you talk and just see what happens. All right, well, that's my podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Have an amazing day. Okay, everybody, that was the podcast. What did you think? Hey, 08692, what's happening? So I was doing my podcast, as you know. I can't say anything while I'm doing my podcast because I'm going to pull the audio. I know my podcast is done, and I'm going to turn the heater back on because, damn, oh, it's cold.
Grandpa's got his blanket on underneath this camera view because it's cold up in here in this garage studio that I got here.
Man. So I'd love you guys' opinion on what I should have in the background here because, I've got, obviously, this. I've got my books here, but you can't see them here. So I'm thinking about putting a little shelf here, putting my books here, and then I've got this whiteboard that's going to go up there. So I'm thinking of doing these walls in a darker color, more along the lines of this color, because these are my brand colors are this and kind of a... It's really actually it's Iron Man colors are the colors that I use for my my podcast. You'll see the colors there. There's like 5 Iron Man colors, and those are the ones that I use. So I'm thinking about doing the background like that, and maybe doing a little art over there. I don't know. This is all I've got for now. But when I pull back out, when I'm doing some teaching or something, you'll see a full wall there. So I think it'd be good to have one of my colors. This is one of my signature colors right here. This is basically the Iron Man color. So I dig that. Anyway, talk to me, people. If you're not going to talk to me, then the chat time is not really necessary. Now, is it? Meh. I can get out of this cold garage studio. Unlockeders, are you there? I see you. I see you tapping those hearts, man. Tap that app, baby. Tap that app. Tap that app. Tap that app. Give me some hearts. Give me some hearts. Let's get to 5,000 real quick. Over here on Twitch, if you're over here, then say hello on the chats here. I would love to connect with you guys and talk to you. So today is Thursday. My next broadcast will be Sunday night. It will be Food for Thought. And if you haven't seen that yet, it's fun. Sometimes I'll have people over. A couple of weeks ago, I had Todd Habercorn and Heather Harris were here. I'll invite some other friends to come over. And we just cook something up and chit-chat with you guys for an hour and maybe more, depending on who it is and what we want to do and how many people we have on. So that's what I do. That is like laid back, no rules, just hanging out. But for the Tuesday and Thursdays, these are my podcasts, so I do have specific things that I want to talk to you guys about and share with you, because this will go into my podcast, which, like I said, my first one will probably drop today, and I'm super excited about it. So We'll see what happens. And I may have to get some more stuff. I may have to get a, one of those shields that's here, because I think the room tone is too loud. Because when I was doing it in my studio, it was better. I think that I have to be closer to the mic here, and I may get a pop screen here and all that. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to do that are going to be awesome, but my main thing is get the damn information out there. When in doubt, share this stuff that I know that can help you guys. So I'm hoping that you guys listening on Unlocked, telling your friends about it. Like I said, remember, please post my twitch.tv/Spike Spencer Speaks. All of these videos here on Twitch go over to my YouTube channel, so you can go over there, check out my YouTube channel. I think it's Spike Spencer. Spike Spencer. Just look it up, you'll find me. And all of these, because they only stay on Twitch for a short time, they go over to YouTube. I load them up, and then you'll get this whole, the whole hour is there. And then I pull the audio from that, and I'll have more material coming from those soon. So I'll be posting things on Instagram and a lot of stuff I just don't understand yet, and I'm working on that. It's cool. There's a lot of cool stuff on all this technology that I don't really understand. I mean, I do understand microphones. I have 3 of them. I don't really know a lot about them. I know which ones are good. Like the Yeti Nano, this is a good one. And my Bluebird microphone, this is my professional one in my studio. That's a good one. I know that. And the Apogee, that is my travel mic, which will be going to Australia with me in a couple of weeks. What? I'm going to be out in Australia, so I don't know how I'm going to do the podcast there, because I believe 9 a.m. is 4 a.m. there. I don't know if I'm going to get my ass out of bed to do a podcast at 4 a.m. in Australia. So we'll see, because I'm going to be at Supernova in Melbourne and Gold Coast. So we're going to spend 3 weeks down there, which is awesome. I love Australia so much. I could live there. I would love to live there for a time, and we probably will. We'll probably, because what we want to do with Declan and any other babies that we have in the future, we want to live in different places when they're a little older, like say 5, 6, and go to some place like move down to Mexico, like San Miguel de Allende, which is like this amazing place in the mountains, or go to Costa Rica and live there for a while and learn Spanish, like really learn it. And then go to France and live there for a year and learn French, and I will learn to cook even better. That'd be amazing. Or go to Asia for a little while somewhere, or Ireland or something like that. Wherever we go, we want to do that and just live. Or maybe go to Spain. That's one I really want to do. Go to Spain and live there for like 6 months to a year and just travel around and eat and learn to cook, like paella, and just so much good food there. Anyway, all right, guys, nobody's saying anything to me now, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. Short. I get a little whistling going. I'm about to have my temporary tooth put in, probably this week. That's going to be awesome. But I won't be able to do this anymore, because I'll have my real tooth will be in there, which will be good, because at voiceover, some of my voiceover sessions, my tooth has actually flown out of my head. True story. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast today. It was awesome, and I will see you guys soon on Sunday nights, and if not, I'll see you next week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, for the Mind Scrambler podcast. Adios, muchachos. I'm going to click it now. And stop.